Welcome to the Vikings Now. I am your host for today's show, Patrick Seatman. Coming up on today's show, we're going to be talking about the Kirk Cousins to the San Francisco 49ers trade rumors. Vikings fan Mike Florio tossed out the idea that the Vikings were shopping Kirk Cousins at the 2023 NFL Scouting Combine. And hey, if the Vikings were to move off of Kirk Cousins, could they potentially pull off a Lamar Jackson trade? We're going to be talking about that. And then obviously DeAndre Hopkins, he's been kind of thrown in the trade rumors as of late, but he could potentially actually be a free agent coming up. There was a report that came out around D-Hop, so we'll get into all this and more on today's show. But I do want to ask you guys this one thing. The most subs we ever got on a video here at Vikings Now was 167. 167 people saw that video and they decided, I want to hit that sub button. Can we break it on today's video? That's my challenge for you guys. It's a free, easy way to help us out here on Vikings Now. Just hit that subscribe button. Free, easy. It makes me look, honestly, really good to my bosses as well. Go down there and hit that subscribe button. So let's talk about Kirk Cousins to the San Francisco 49ers. There was a report that came out that the Vikings were shopping Kirk Cousins at the 2023 Scouting Combine. Obviously, at the Scouting Combine, there's a ton of GMs and coaches and scouts and all that are all talking, so the rumors really get going. But this was broken down by Mike Florio, and he said there was chatter that the Vikings were trying to move Kirk Cousins at the Combine. The Vikings would create just $10 million if they traded him after June 1st. So if the Vikings were to move off Kirk Cousins, I would expect it to be after the June 1st deadline. And then Florio mentioned the San Francisco 49ers in that conversation because we all know Kyle Shanahan has the biggest man crush ever on Vikings quarterback Kirk Cousins dating back to his days with the formerly known as the Washington Redskins. But I do think Kirk Cousins, past 4 seasons, listen, he's going to put up good numbers. He has been fantastic. Just over 4,000 yards in the past 3 years. He's always had a solid touchdown to interception ratio, and he's always had a solid completion percentage. But it always comes down to Kirk. Can he be the quarterback that gets you over the hump? Can he be the quarterback that can win the big game, get you to the NFC title game, get you to the Super Bowl? The question still remains on Kirk Cousins. I think he was good this past season. He just wasn't great. And I do want to toss this out there. Maybe a Kirk Cousins for Trey Lance trade. We obviously know Trey Lance is the Minnesota native. And could it be a possibility where the Vikings just say, you know what? We kind of met our threshold with Kirk Cousins. Let's go. We're tired of being good. Let's go try to be great and bring in a guy like Trey Lance. And Trey Lance obviously is not a top quarterback in the NFL. He's nowhere near being a top quarterback in the NFL right now, but he has a ton of untapped potential, and maybe the Vikings support system could turn Trey Lance into that guy. I got a couple more things to say on this in a second, but I want to ask you guys this on today's pinned comment. Do you want to trade for Trey Lance? Give me a T for trade or give me a P for pass down below. This is a pinned comment on today's video, so if you get hit with a YouTube ad break, just let it play. Go have some fun. Answer that pinned comment down in the comment section. Personally, I would actually do this. I think a Kirk Cousins for Trey Lance trade, straight up, honestly, I think it benefits both sides. I know a lot of you guys be saying, yeah, but that would be a downgrade at the quarterback position. Yes, for the short term, I do believe Kirk Cousins is still night and day a better quarterback than a guy like Trey Lance. However, I just think Trey Lance has that untapped potential that he could potentially be a franchise quarterback. And honestly, if you're the San Francisco 49ers, Kirk Cousins has been one of the more durable quarterbacks in the NFL over the past couple of seasons. And what have the Niners struggled with the most out of like their number one problem over the past couple of years? It's injuries at the quarterback position. And I know Kyle Shanahan, like I just mentioned, he loves himself some Kirk Cousins. So just keep your eyes on a little Kirk Cousins Trey Lance trade. But looking at Trey Lance's career stats in 4 games started so far. Again, these numbers are not going to blow you out of the water right now. Only 55% completion percentage, 797 yards. 5 touchdowns and 3 interceptions, and he has 235 rushing yards and 1 touchdown on the ground. Overall, I think Trey Lance is a huge boom or bust prospect. I do think, though, Lance hasn't played enough ball in the NFL to really determine how good he is or how good he can be. Like I just said, he's only started 4 games in the NFL so far, but just that overall potential he has, that dual threat ability. And hey, Kyle Shanahan, John Lynch, they know a good amount about football. They were able to trade 3 first-round picks to move up and get that guy right there. I don't know. I still think Trey Lance still has that untapped potential that I would be willing to take a risk on right now. Now we're going to be talking about how the Vikings can actually get Lamar Jackson. Let's just say the Vikings do end up sending Kirk Cousins to the San Francisco 49ers, and they don't get a Trey Lance in return. Could be something that's pretty interesting. So how this could happen, this is pretty fun. Kind of cook this up here for you guys. Number one, find a team that would take on Kirk Cousins' contract and just kind of take on Kirk Cousins as being their quarterback. That's step number one, because Kirk Cousins does have a no-trade clause. So you're going to have to find a spot where Kirk's going to agree to go to. That's why I kind of mentioned the San Francisco 49ers, because I will say this. Kirk goes to the San Francisco 49ers. Are they not the favorite in the NFC by far? I think they would be. And then step two, obviously the non-exclusive tag was placed on Lamar Jackson, so you would have to give them 2 first-round picks, so you send them over there. And then step 3, you're going to have to give Lamar the bag, which I'm okay with. I'll kind of explain my thoughts on that in a second. Then step number 4, man, bring in Lamar Jackson, Justin Jefferson, TJ Hawkinson, Christian Darrisaw. That offense would be humming. Win some damn Super Bowls. Let's take a look at Lamar Jackson's passing stats over the past couple of years, because, man, dating back to that 2019 unanimous MVP season from him, man, people say he can't throw the football, but he had 36 touchdowns and 6 interceptions. He was a unanimous MVP that year. We all know Lamar is a dual-threat quarterback, but honestly, his development as a passer of the football has excited me the most about him. And I will say this. Lamar Jackson, I think he's become underrated in the NFL. And whether that's just to NFL fans, coaches, GMs, I really do believe Lamar Jackson has somehow became underrated. This is the number 1 dual-threat quarterback in the league. And what is today's NFL? It's a lot of quarterbacks making plays outside the pocket. You know, we still have those guys, obviously, like Kirk, Matt Ryan, Tom Brady, those typical statuesque quarterbacks. But a lot of these guys nowadays, it's the Josh Allens, it's the Patrick Mahomes, it's the Herberts, it's the Lamar Jackson, it's these dual-threat quarterbacks. And I think people, because of the injuries over the past couple of years and kind of the drama around Lamar Jackson, I think he's somehow becoming underrated. I do want to ask you guys this. So would you trade for Lamar Jackson? Let's just say it all works out financially. We're able to move off Kirk Cousins and find Kirk Cousins a home. Would you trade for Lamar Jackson? Give me a Y for yes, or give me an N for no down in the comments section. Now we got to talk about it, signing DeAndre Hopkins. I said it, signing DeAndre Hopkins. We may not be talking about trading for DeAndre Hopkins anymore. We could be talking about signing D-Hop. A report came out that the Cardinals could release their star wide receiver, DeAndre Hopkins, if they are unable to trade him. And DeAndre Hopkins, man, you look at his stats, he's one of the best wide receivers in the NFL. 64 receptions last year, 717 yards, and only 9 games played. And that was with a lot of shakiness at the quarterback position. I believe most of those games were played without Kyler Murray as his starting quarterback. But, man, you remember how good he was with those Houston Texans teams, and even dating back to that 2020 season in Arizona, just over 1,400 yards and 6 touchdowns. But, man, look at this wide receiver room. If you were to add DeAndre Hopkins to it, you would have Justin Jefferson obviously being your number 1 wide receiver, the best in the league, and then adding DeAndre Hopkins as being your number 2 guy next to Justin Jefferson with a guy like KJ Osborne. I think it could be an elite wide receiver room. But I will say this. I am curious what the Vikings' plan is at the wide receiver 2 position. They haven't made any moves besides letting Adam Thielen go with that wide receiver room. But I do think it will be KJ. I do think KJ Osborne, I think he's done enough over his first 3 seasons in the NFL to kind of be solidified as a wide receiver 2 for the Vikings. And I think the Vikings are going to be actually playing a lot of more smash mouth football during this upcoming season, because we signed CJ Ham to a 2-year, $3 million deal. We signed Josh Oliver to a 3-year, $21 million deal. Obviously, C.J. Ham being that hard-hitting fullback that the Vikings have had. Then obviously Josh Oliver being probably the best blocking tight end in the NFL right now. Josh Oliver is the best blocking tight end in the NFL. And I will say, I do think the Vikings are going to be sitting in a lot more 12 personnel this upcoming season. I think it's going to be Justin Jefferson, KJ Osborne. Obviously, if we do hang on to Dalvin Cook, it's going to be him as well. And then TJ Hawkinson and Josh Oliver, I think they're going to be sitting in a lot more of 12 personnel, trying to establish the run a lot more. And then, hey, if we do end up hopping in the 22 personnel, switch out KJ Osborne for CJ Ham, I think that's another way where the Vikings can improve this running game from last season, because Dalvin Cook and the running game did not have their best season last year. So, hey, I do expect the Vikings to stay in a lot more heavier packages to improve from last season. I just think the running game last year, it had those burst plays. I think Dalvin Cook, he's still a good enough running back to get you those home runs, but it didn't really seem like we had those consistent 4-5 yard rushes. That really is what it takes to be a good running football team in the NFL. If you take a look at their stats from this past season, this has a team running the football only 1,600 yards as a whole team in 17 games. That is not too good. Only 97 yards per game, 4.1 yards per carry, only 18 rushing touchdowns. I think we're going to see the Vikings a lot more of that smash mouth football, heavier packages, getting Justin Jefferson that advantage. And Kwesi did make this comment at the scouting combine when asked about it, because somebody did ask him, you bring in a lot of these guys like CJ Ham, Josh Oliver to kind of improve the run game. What would that do for other guys? And he kind of said, people don't understand that Justin Jefferson, he is going to be the number one benefit. Like, he's going to benefit the most from us being in these heavier packages, because the safeties won't be able to kind of run that bracket coverage as much as they used to, because the Vikings are going to be able to run the football. But hey, guys, give me a follow on Twitter. If you guys give me a follow on Twitter and just DM me Skull, I'll give you a follow right back from today's video. Again, thank you guys so much for watching. It's been a great time hanging out with you guys, talking Lamar, talking Justin Jefferson, talking a little Kirk Cousins. We'll see you guys next time. As always, Skull Vikes.